This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. Recently, I started using Anchor as my podcast host. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part. And you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch in one place. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From BBC News, Russia-Ukraine War Summary. Russian citizens are reportedly scrambling to download Wikipedia before the government bans it, with local downloads of the site up about 4,000% compared to the first half of January. President Biden has urged American companies to harden their cybersecurity apparatuses against incursions from Russian hackers, which U.S. intelligence indicates may be forthcoming. Ukrainian forces have retaken a key suburb outside of Kyiv. Videos that appear to show Russian soldiers shooting into unarmed crowds of Ukrainian protesters in the occupied city of Kherson have emerged online. A senior EU official has said that EU leaders are in possession of, quote, very reliable evidence, end quote, that China is considering providing military assistance to Russia. And the Biden administration has said that there are, quote, clear signs, end quote, that Russia is preparing a false flag attack to justify using chemical or biological weapons against Ukraine. There's been a fair bit of to-do in Europe these past few days over the question of whether to completely cut off Russian gas and oil supplies coming into the EU, as Germany and a few other nations are highly reliant on these imports for their energy mix, but others are not. And it's suspected by some, primarily those in the latter category, that the only way to hurt Russia's economy any further is to cut off the income they make from these energy exports. From Bloomberg, Chinese air travel faces mass cancellations after plane crash, following the crash of an airliner operated by China Eastern Airlines, which dramatically nosedived and crashed on Monday. About 74% of the 11,800 flights scheduled in China yesterday were canceled. This is a common consequence of well-reported upon plane crashes, as although plane crashes, especially of passenger airlines, are incredibly rare, the reminder that a plane can fall out of the sky and the thought of how terrifying that would be can cause people to rethink their travel plans. The investigation into what happened here is ongoing, but so far, the search for survivors, there were 132 people on board, hasn't turned up a single one. This is the first fatal air crash in China since 2010. And from Reuters, Microsoft data centers to heat Finnish homes, cutting emissions. A Finnish utility company called Fortum has announced it will use waste heat generated by planned Microsoft data centers to warm homes and office buildings around Helsinki. The cost of capturing and distributing this heat from these data centers is estimated to be about $220 million, and it's expected to cut about 400,000 tons of CO2 emissions annually. It's also expected that this effort will generate about 60% of the total heat needed for the relevant region, and that this waste heat recycling project will be the largest of its kind in the world when completed. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts, at understandery.com.